Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Galactic Command and Chaos, since when do humans have warships? The void between stars. The infinite darkness of space stretched in every direction, broken only by the distant light of countless stars. Nestled within this vast expanse, the shimmering form of Nexus Prime Station hung suspended, a beacon of order amidst the cosmic sea. Within the station's command center, Captain Vell stood at his post, his scaled fingers dancing across the holographic controls. As a Jurgen, Vell took pride in the efficiency of his station, a hub connecting the far-flung corners of the galactic empire. The gentle hum of machinery and the soft bleeps of system alerts formed a soothing ambience, a testament to the station's smooth operation. Suddenly, a piercing alarm shattered the calm. Vell's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the main display. "Report," he barked, his voice edged with urgency. His assistant, Officer Traz, worked frantically at his console. "Sir, an unknown vessel has just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of our sensor range. It's heading directly for us." Vell felt a chill run down his spine. Unscheduled arrivals were a rarity in the tightly controlled space of the Empire. He watched as the mysterious ship grew larger on the viewscreen, its silhouette unlike any he had seen before. "Initiate standard greeting protocol," Vell ordered, and raise station alert status to yellow. A startling hail. "Unknown vessel, this is Nexus Prime Station," comms officer Lyra broadcast on all frequencies. "Identify yourself and state your intentions." For a moment only static filled the air. Then a voice crackled through the speakers, steady and clear. "Nexus Prime, this is Commander Jack Stone of the UNC Invictus, representing the United Nations of Earth. We come in peace and request permission to dock." Stunned silence gripped the command center. Vell exchanged disbelieving looks with his crew. Earth, the mythical homeworld of humanity, a species barely past their first tentative steps into the stars. "Impossible," whispered Traz. "The humans don't have ships capable of hyperspace travel. It has to be a trick." Vell leaned forward, examining the strange vessel. Its design was angular and fierce, bristling with advanced weaponry that should have been far beyond Earth's capabilities. And yet, the ship's ident beacon pulsed with authentication codes reserved for diplomatic missions of the highest order. "An Imperial summons." "The codes are genuine," Lyra confirmed, her voice tinged with awe. "They bear the personal seal of Emperor Zorgex himself." Vell's mind raced. The Emperor extending a secret invitation to the humans, it defied all protocol and logic. The Galactic Council would be in an uproar when they learned of this development. Steeling himself, Vell opened a channel to the human ship. "UNC Invictus, your arrival is unexpected but your codes are verified. You are cleared to dock at Bay A7. Welcome to Nexus Prime." As the sleek human vessel glided towards the docking bay, Vell couldn't shake the feeling that its arrival heralded great change. The carefully balanced order of the Empire, stable for 1,000 generations, suddenly felt fragile. And at the center of it all, the enigmatic humans, a young race whose role in the grand tapestry of the galaxy remained shrouded in mystery. With a soft thud, the Invictus completed its docking sequence, the airlock hissing open. Vell squared his shoulders and prepared to greet the human delegation. For better or worse, a new chapter in galactic history was about to unfold, and Nexus Prime Station stood at its precipice. A glimpse of the future. As Captain Vell strode down the corridor towards the docking bay, his mind churned with unanswered questions. The Council would demand explanations, and the Emperor's motives remained inscrutable. Yet, above all, a profound sense of curiosity gripped Vell. What manner of beings were these humans to have advanced so quickly? What secrets did their blue world hold, and what role did the Emperor foresee for them in the grand machinations of the Empire? Lost in thought, Vell almost missed the engraved symbol set into the human ship's hull as he approached. A stylized phoenix rising from the ashes, its wings spread in defiance of the void. An emblem of resilience and rebirth, perhaps hinting at the indomitable spirit of the species that bore it. The airlock doors parted, and Vell found himself face to face with the human delegation. At their head stood a tall figure in a crisp uniform, his features an alien mix of strength and intelligence. He extended a hand in greeting, a gesture that Vell recognized as a human custom. "Captain Vell, I presume," the human said, his voice rich with authority. I am Commander Jack Stone. On behalf of the United Nations of Earth, I thank you for your welcome. Vel grasped the proffered hand, marveling at the firm warmth of the human's grip. Up close, he could see the glint of curiosity in Stone's eyes, a mirror of his own thirst for understanding. The honor is mine, Commander, Vel replied. Your arrival has caught us all by surprise, but if the Emperor himself has summoned you, then Nexus Prime is at your service. Stone's lips curved into an enigmatic smile. The Emperor's invitation was indeed unexpected, but Earth does not shy away from the unknown. We come ready to learn, to share, and to forge new bonds between our peoples. As the two leaders fell into step, walking the length of the docking bay, Vel could not help but feel a flicker of excitement amidst the uncertainty. The humans carried with them the promise of new horizons and untold potential. Whatever the future held, he sensed that the universe would never be quite the same again. And so, with a mixture of trepidation and wonder, Captain Vel prepared to guide the humans into the heart of the Galactic Empire. The great wheels of destiny had begun to turn, and Nexus Prime Station stood at the center of the maelstrom, a silent witness to the unfolding saga that would shape the fate of worlds. Little did Vel know, as he escorted Commander Stone and his delegation through the station's hallowed halls, that the true magnitude of the events set in motion by the humans' arrival would eclipse even his wildest imaginings. For in the shadows of the Empire, ancient powers stirred, and the delicate balance of a galaxy hung in the balance. Thus begins the tale of two civilizations, one old and one young, drawn together by the currents of destiny. A tale of alliances forged and broken, of secrets revealed and sacrifices made. Above all, a tale of the indomitable human spirit rising to meet the challenges of a universe both wondrous and perilous. The surprising arrival marks but the first step in an epic journey, one that will test the mettle of heroes and shake the very foundations of the galaxy. And at its heart, the question that burns like a beacon: since when do humans have warships? The gentle hum of the maglev train filled the air as Captain Vel led the human delegation through the heart of Nexus Prime Station. Commander Jack Stone and his team, Ambassador Maria Rivera and Lieutenant Ben Roberts, took in the sleek corridors and bustling activity with keen interest. Nexus Prime is the crown jewel of the Galactic Empire, Vel explained, pride evident in his voice. From here, we coordinate trade, diplomacy, and defense across 1,000 systems. Stone nodded, his gaze sharp and assessing. Impressive, and yet the Empire never saw fit to initiate contact with Earth before now. Vel's scales rippled, betraying a hint of discomfort. The Council has its reasons, Commander. Human development has been unpredictable. Your species has a history of conflict that gave us pause. Ambassador Rivera raised an eyebrow, her dark eyes glinting. With respect, Captain, Earth's conflicts are in the past. We come to you now as a united world, ready to take our place in the galactic community. A tense briefing. The doors to the council chamber swished open, revealing a circular room dominated by a massive holographic display. Representatives from a dozen alien species were already gathered, their whispered conversations falling silent as the humans entered. At the head of the room, a tall, slender figure rose from its seat. Greetings, Earth delegation. I am High Counselor Zorl. Your arrival has generated quite the stir. Stone stepped forward, inclining his head respectfully. High Counselor, we are honored by your welcome. Earth stands ready to forge new bonds of friendship and cooperation with the Empire. Zorl's expression remained inscrutable, his violet eyes assessing the humans coolly. Indeed, and yet your arrival raises troubling questions. Your ship, the technological advancement it represents, it defies our understanding of human capabilities. Lieutenant Roberts spoke up, his voice calm but firm. With respect, High Counselor, Earth's progress is not bound by the Empire's expectations. We have made great strides in recent years and stand as equals among the stars. A ripple of unease passed through the gathered counselors at Roberts' words. Stone shot him a warning glance before turning back to Zorl. Our advancements are our own, he said evenly. But we come in the spirit of openness and mutual benefit. The Emperor himself saw fit to invite us here. Zorl leaned back in his seat, steepling his long fingers thoughtfully. Yes, the Emperor's invitation was most irregular. Rest assured that we will seek clarification on his motives. Whispers in the shadows. As the council session broke up, Lieutenant Roberts found himself drawn aside by a small, hooded figure. Glancing around to ensure they were unobserved, the figure spoke in an urgent whisper. You are not safe here, it hissed. The Empire has secrets, dark secrets that they will kill to protect. Roberts frowned, his hand drifting instinctively towards his sidearm. Who are you? What do you know of the Empire's secrets? The figure shook its head frantically. No names, but know this, there is a rebellion brewing, a fire that will consume the corrupt heart of the Empire, and Earth may hold the key. With a final furtive glance, the figure melted back into the shadows, leaving Roberts alone with his racing thoughts. Rebellion, Earth's role in some grand galactic game, the implications were staggering. The lieutenant hurried to rejoin his comrades, his mind awhirl with questions and suspicions. As he emerged into the main concourse, he nearly collided with Ambassador Rivera. "Ben, you look like you've seen a ghost," Rivera said, concern etched on her face. Roberts hesitated, glancing around warily. "Not here," he murmured. "But we need to talk. I think there's more going on than meets the eye." Together, the two humans made their way back to their quarters, unaware of the calculating eyes that followed their every move. In the shadows of Nexus Prime, hidden agendas and ancient grudges stirred, threatening to ensnare the human delegation in a web of intrigue and danger. A looming confrontation. As night cycle descended on the station, Commander Stone found himself alone on the observation deck, gazing out at the infinite expanse of stars. The weight of responsibility hung heavy on his shoulders, the fate of Earth and its place in the galaxy resting on his every decision. The soft hiss of the door announced a new arrival, and Stone turned to find Admiral Tavix striding towards him, the Corva's midnight blue uniform a stark contrast against the starlit void. "Commander Stone," Tavix greeted, coming to stand beside him at the viewport. "I trust your delegation is settling in well." Stone nodded, his eyes never leaving the stars. "Well enough, Admiral, though I suspect our presence has ruffled a few feathers among the Council." Tavix chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. "Change always does, Commander, but the Emperor sees great potential in humanity, a potential that some on the Council fear." "And what do you see, Admiral?" Stone asked, turning to face the towering Corva. Tavix was silent for a long moment, his gaze distant. "I see a galaxy on the brink of transformation," he said at last, "and I believe that Earth will play a pivotal role in shaping that future." Stone's brow furrowed, a flicker of unease passing through him. "A future of cooperation and peace, I hope." The Admiral's eyes glinted in the starlight, inscrutable and ancient. "That, Commander, will depend on the choices we make in the days to come. The Empire faces threats from within and without, and the humans' arrival may well be the catalyst that tips the balance." With those cryptic words, Tavix inclined his head in farewell and strode from the observation deck, leaving Stone alone with the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. Far below, in the shadowed depths of the station, Lieutenant Roberts and Ambassador Rivera huddled together, poring over stolen data files and whispered rumors. The pieces of a vast conspiracy were falling into place, hinting at a rot at the very heart of the Empire. And in the darkness between the stars, ancient powers stirred, drawn by the ripples of change and the scent of opportunity. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the foundations of the galaxy, and the humans of Earth found themselves thrust into the heart of the maelstrom. As suspicions took root and hidden agendas came to light, one thing became clear. The fate of worlds would hinge on the actions of a few brave souls standing against the tide of history. The Empire's secrets were about to be laid bare, and the price of truth would be paid in blood and fire. Part 3: The Empire's True Face. Echoes of Rebellion. The dimly lit corridors of the lower deck stretched before Lieutenant Roberts and Ambassador Rivera, the stolen data pad clutched tightly in Roberts' hand. The secrets it contained weighed heavily on their minds, a burden of knowledge that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the Empire. "This is bigger than we ever imagined," Rivera murmured, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and horror. "The Void Collective, a rebellion born of centuries of oppression and enslavement, and the Emperor's plan to use Earth as a pawn in his game." Roberts nodded grimly, his jaw set with determination. "We can't let that happen. Earth didn't come this far to be used as a tool of conquest and subjugation." The sound of footsteps echoing down the corridor brought them up short. Exchanging a quick glance, they ducked into a shadowed alcove, holding their breath as a pair of Imperial guards marched past, their armor glinting in the dim light. As the footsteps faded, Roberts and Rivera emerged, their faces etched with a newfound resolve. "We need to get this information to Commander Stone," Roberts said, tapping the data pad. He needs to know what we're up against. A shattering revelation. In the opulent quarters assigned to the human delegation, Commander Stone paced restlessly, his mind awhirl with the implications of Admiral Tavix's cryptic words. The chime of the door brought him up short, and he turned to find Roberts and Rivera entering, their expressions grim. "Commander, we have something you need to see," Roberts said without preamble, holding out the data pad. Stone took the device, his eyes widening as he scanned the contents. The truth of the Empire's dark history unfolded before him, a tapestry of conquest, subjugation, and the ruthless suppression of dissent. "The Void Collective," he breathed, his voice tight with anger. "A rebellion born of the Empire's cruelty, and the Emperor wants us to help crush it." Rivera stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. "We can't be a part of this, Jack. Earth stands for freedom, for the right of all species to chart their own destiny. We won't be the Emperor's attack dogs." Stone nodded slowly, the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders. "You're right, Maria, but we're walking a razor's edge here. Refuse the Emperor's request, and we risk painting Earth as an enemy of the Empire." "So what do we do?" asked Roberts, his hand resting on the butt of his holstered pistol. Stone was silent for a long moment, his gaze distant. "We play along," he said at last, his voice low and intense. "We accept the Emperor's invitation to join the war against the Void Collective, but we do it on our terms, and we use our position to gather information to find a way to bring the Empire's crimes to light." Rivera and Roberts exchanged a glance, a flicker of understanding passing between them. "A dangerous game," Rivera murmured, "but one we must play if we hope to save both Earth and the galaxy from the Emperor's machinations." The die is cast. In the great hall of the Imperial Palace, the human delegation stood before the Emperor himself, resplendent in his golden robes of office. The air crackled with tension as the Emperor's gaze swept over them, his ancient eyes glinting with a mixture of curiosity and calculation. "Commander Stone," the Emperor intoned, his voice a sonorous rumble. "Earth has answered our call. You will join us in our righteous crusade against the Void Collective, and in so doing secure humanity's place in the glorious future of the Empire." Stone stepped forward, his head held high, his voice ringing with a careful mix of deference and strength. "Your Majesty, Earth is honored by your trust. We stand ready to lend our strength to the Empire's cause, to forge a new era of unity and prosperity for all species." The Emperor's lips curved in a smile that held no warmth. "Well spoken, Commander. Together, we shall bring the light of order to the darkest corners of the galaxy, and the Void Collective will learn the folly of defiance." As the Emperor's words echoed through the hall, Stone felt a chill run down his spine. The die was cast, and Earth now walked a tightrope over an abyss of galactic conflict and ancient grudges. But even as he pledged Earth's support, Stone's mind raced with hidden plans and desperate hopes. The true face of the Empire had been revealed, and the human delegation now faced a choice that would echo through the ages. Would they be the instrument of the Emperor's tyranny, or would they find a way to shatter the chains of oppression and forge a new path for the galaxy? The answer lay in the battles to come, both on the front lines of the war against the Void Collective and in the shadowed halls of power where secrets and betrayals lurked around every corner. As the Emperor's court erupted in a chorus of cheers and applause, Commander Stone, Ambassador Rivera, and Lieutenant Roberts exchanged a silent, determined glance. The fate of worlds rested on their shoulders, and they would not falter in the face of the gathering storm. The Empire's true face had been unveiled, and the humans of Earth now stood at the heart of a galactic crucible, their actions and choices set to shape the destiny of 1,000 worlds. In the darkness beyond the stars, ancient powers stirred, drawn by the scent of change and the promise of upheaval. And so, the stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. A war fought not only with fleet and fire, but with the unquenchable spirit of those who dared to stand against the tide of tyranny and oppression. The humans had come to the stars in search of knowledge and alliance, but they had found instead a calling that would test their courage and resolve to the very limits. As they stood before the Emperor, the weight of history heavy upon them, they knew that the true struggle was only beginning. For in the heart of the Empire, a spark of rebellion had been kindled, and the humans of Earth would be the ones to fan it into a flame that would consume the darkness and light the way to a new dawn for the galaxy. A daring gambit. The UNC Invictus hung in space, a gleaming dagger against the velvet backdrop of the void. Within its sleek halls, Commander Stone and his team gathered in the secure briefing room, the weight of their newfound knowledge heavy upon them. "The Emperor's plan is a trap," Stone said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "He seeks to use Earth as a pawn in his game of galactic domination, to test our strength and resolve before deciding whether to conquer or destroy us." Ambassador Rivera's eyes flashed with determination. "We cannot let that happen, Jack. Earth must not become just another footnote in the Empire's bloody history." Lieutenant Roberts leaned forward, his gaze intense. "But how do we stop it? We're just one ship, one crew, against the might of an entire galactic empire." Stone was silent for a long moment, his mind racing with possibilities. "We play the game," he said at last, "but we change the rules. We gather allies, we sow the seeds of doubt and dissent within the Empire itself, and when the time is right, we strike at the heart of the Emperor's power." A hushed silence fell over the room as the audacity of Stone's plan sank in. It was a gambit fraught with peril, a dance on the edge of a precipice where one misstep could spell doom for Earth and all they held dear. But in the face of the Empire's betrayal, there could be no half measures. The humans of Earth had come too far, sacrificed too much to bow before the yoke of tyranny. They would fight with every ounce of cunning and courage they possessed to forge a new destiny for themselves and for the galaxy. Shadows of dissent. In the depths of Nexus Prime Station, a clandestine meeting was taking place. Figures cloaked in secrecy gathered in a dimly lit room, their faces hidden beneath cowls and masks. At their center stood Lieutenant Roberts, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "You have chosen a dangerous path, human," said one of the figures, her voice a sibilant whisper. "To defy the Emperor is to court death itself." Roberts met her gaze unflinchingly. "And to live under his boot is to court a fate worse than death. Earth did not come to the stars to trade one master for another." A murmur of assent rippled through the gathered rebels, a flicker of hope kindling in their eyes. "And what can one ship, one crew do against the might of the Empire?" asked another figure, his voice heavy with the weight of long oppression. Robert smiled, a fierce, determined grin. "One ship, one crew can be the spark that ignites a revolution. The Emperor's power is built on fear, on the belief that resistance is futile. But we will show the galaxy that resistance is not only possible but inevitable." As the rebels dispersed, melting back into the shadows of the station, Roberts felt a newfound sense of purpose settling over him. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but it was a path that led to the only future worth fighting for, a future of freedom and self-determination for all species. The agents of chaos. On the bridge of the Invictus, Commander Stone stood before the viewscreen, his gaze locked on the image of Director Krellel, the Zydarian's face twisted with barely contained rage. "This is an outrage," Krellel sputtered, his scales rippling with agitation. "You dare to defy the Emperor's will to spread sedition and chaos throughout the station." Stone met the director's fury with a calm, unyielding resolve. "We dare to speak the truth, Director, the truth of the Empire's crimes, of the oppression and enslavement of countless worlds, and we will not be silenced." Krellel's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint sparking within their depths. "You forget your place, human. The Empire will crush your pathetic little rebellion and Earth will pay the price for your insolence." But even as the director's words echoed through the bridge, a new voice cut through the tension. "I think not, Director Krellel." Admiral Tavik stepped into view, his towering form radiating an aura of quiet authority. Krellel's face paled, his bluster faltering in the face of the Corva's implacable presence. "Admiral I." Tavik silenced him with a raised hand. "Enough, Director. The humans have exposed a cancer at the heart of the Empire, a rot that has festered for far too long. It is time for change, for a reckoning long overdue." As Krellel's image winked out, Admiral Tavik's turned to face Stone, his eyes glinting with a newfound respect. "You have set in motion events that cannot be undone, Commander. The Empire will never be the same after this day." Stone nodded, a grim smile tugging at his lips. "And neither will Earth, Admiral. We have chosen our path and we will see it through to the end, whatever the cost." The gathering storm. In the shadows of Nexus Prime, whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire, fanned by the courage and determination of the human delegation. Across the galaxy, long-oppressed species lifted their heads, daring to dream of a future free from the yoke of imperial tyranny. But the Emperor's power was vast, and his wrath terrible to behold. As the news of Earth's defiance reached the imperial throne, ancient machinery of war stirred to life, terrible in its purpose and implacable in its fury. Fleets of warships, their hulls bristling with weapons of unimaginable power, converged on Nexus Prime, a storm of steel and fire poised to crush the nascent rebellion before it could spread. In the heart of the imperial palace, the emperor himself brooded on his throne, his eyes cold and pitiless as he contemplated the fate of those who dared to defy him. And yet, amidst the gathering darkness, hope endured. For the humans of Earth had shown the galaxy that resistance was possible, that even the mightiest of empires could be challenged and shaken to its core. As the Invictus and her crew prepared for the battles to come, they knew that they stood on the cusp of a great and terrible reckoning. The price of freedom would be paid in blood and sacrifice, but it was a price they were willing to pay for the sake of their own world and for the countless others that groaned beneath the heel of imperial oppression. The stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy, a war fought not only with weapons of mass destruction, but with the indomitable spirit of those who dared to stand against the darkness. And in the heart of that conflict, the humans of Earth would carve out their own destiny, forging alliances and shattering chains as they fought to build a new future for all the peoples of the galaxy. For in the face of tyranny and oppression, there could be no surrender, no retreat. The only path forward was the path of defiance, of courage in the face of overwhelming odds. And it was a path that the crew of the Invictus would walk with unwavering resolve, united by a bond that transcended species and culture, the unbreakable bond of those who fought for the freedom and dignity of all. The betrayal of the Empire had unleashed a storm that would consume the galaxy, but it had also lit a fire in the hearts of those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. And in the crucible of that fire, the destiny of worlds would be forged anew, shaped by the courage and sacrifice of heroes yet unsung. The price of defiance. The UNC Invictus shuddered under the onslaught of imperial fire, its shields flaring and crackling as they absorbed the relentless barrage. On the bridge, Commander Stone gripped the arms of his chair, his knuckles white with the strain. "Status report," he barked, his voice cutting through the cacophony of alarms and warnings. Lieutenant Nara, the ship's tactical officer, replied through gritted teeth. "Shields at 30%, Commander. We can't take much more of this." Stone's eyes flashed with grim determination. "We don't need to, we just need to buy enough time for the plan to work." Across the battlefield, the rebel fleet fought with a ferocity born of desperation, their ships dancing and weaving through the Imperial formations, striking at weaknesses and drawing fire away from the beleaguered Invictus. At the heart of the rebel line, the flagship of the Void Collective, a massive dreadnought bristling with weaponry, engaged the Imperial flagship in a duel of titans, the two behemoths trading blows that shattered the very fabric of space. On the Invictus viewscreen, a familiar face appeared, the features of Admiral Tavix drawn and haggard. "Commander Stone, the time has come, the pieces are in place, it's now or never." Stone nodded, a fierce, exultant grin spreading across his face. "Then let's finish this, Admiral, for Earth and for the galaxy." A gambit revealed. In the heart of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat upon his throne, his eyes fixed upon the tactical displays that surrounded him. The rebel fleet fought with a tenacity that bordered on madness, hurling themselves against the might of the Empire with reckless abandon. But it was a futile gesture, a last desperate gasp of defiance before the inevitable crush of Imperial power. The Emperor's lips curled in a sneer of contempt, his fingers tapping idly upon the arm of his throne. And then a flicker of movement caught his eye. A small ship, insignificant amidst the chaos of the battle, darting through the Imperial lines with impossible speed and agility. The Emperor's eyes widened, a sudden, terrible realization dawning upon him. "No," he whispered, his voice a hoarse, disbelieving rasp. "It can't be." But it was. The UNC Invictus, battered and scarred but unbroken, bore down upon the Imperial Palace like an avenging angel, its weapons charging with a power that dwarfed anything the Emperor had ever seen. Too late, the Emperor understood the true nature of the rebel gambit. The fleet, the Void Collective, all of it had been a diversion, a feint to draw the Empire's attention away from the true threat. And that threat was the Invictus, armed with a weapon that could shatter the very foundations of the Empire, the truth. The final confrontation. The Imperial Palace shook with the force of the Invictus assault, its ancient walls crumbling and buckling under the onslaught. In the heart of the throne room, the emperor stood alone, his robes billowing in the winds of destruction. Before him, the humans of Earth stood unbowed, their faces grim with the weight of the moment. At their head, Commander Stone stepped forward, his voice ringing with the clarity of judgment. "Emperor Zoran, your reign of tyranny ends here," he declared, his words echoing through the shattered hall. "The galaxy has seen the truth of your crimes, the depth of your depravity. The oppressed and enslaved cry out for justice, and we will not be silent." The Emperor's face twisted with rage, his eyes blazing with a madness born of thwarted ambition. "You dare," he hissed, his voice a sibilant whisper, "you dare to defy me, to challenge the might of the Empire." Stone met the Emperor's gaze unflinchingly. "We dare," he said, his voice unwavering. "For too long the peoples of the galaxy have lived in fear, crushed beneath the boot of your oppression. But no more. Today we stand united, human and alien alike, to build a new future, a future of freedom and justice for all." The Emperor's laughter was a cruel, mocking thing, echoing through the ruins of his palace. "And who will lead this new future?" he sneered. "You, Commander Stone, the Void Collective, you are children playing at games of power beyond your understanding." But even as the Emperor spoke, a new voice rang out, strong and clear. Admiral Tavik stepped forward, his eyes blazing with a fierce, righteous anger. "No, Emperor," he said, his words ringing with the weight of history. "The galaxy will lead itself. The days of empires and tyrants are over. From this day forward, each species, each world will chart its own destiny, free from the yoke of oppression." The Emperor's face contorted with rage, his hand clutching at the hilt of his blade. But before he could act, a blinding light filled the throne room, a light born of the hopes and dreams of a galaxy too long denied. When the light faded, the Emperor was gone, his throne lying shattered and broken amidst the ruins of his palace. In his place stood the leaders of 100 worlds, their faces alight with the promise of a new dawn. A new dawn. In the days and weeks that followed, the galaxy emerged from the shadow of the Empire, blinking in the unaccustomed light of freedom. The Void Collective, once reviled as terrorists and rebels, took their place among the new Galactic Council, their courage and sacrifice recognized at last. The humans of Earth, their role in the great drama of liberation recognized and celebrated, found themselves at the forefront of a new era of exploration and discovery. The UNC Invictus, battered but unbroken, became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder of the indomitable spirit that had shattered the chains of tyranny. As for Commander Stone and his crew, they found themselves hailed as heroes, their names whispered with awe and reverence across 1,000 worlds. But for Stone, the true victory lay not in accolades or honors, but in the simple knowledge that he had been true to himself and to the ideals that had guided him through the darkness. In the years that followed, the galaxy would face new challenges, new threats to the hard-won peace and freedom. But always the memory of the Great Rebellion would endure, a shining beacon of hope and courage in the face of adversity. And at the heart of that memory, the humans of Earth would stand tall, their place among the stars secured by the bravery and sacrifice of those who had dared to dream of a better tomorrow. For in the end, the true measure of a species lay not in the strength of its armies or the power of its fleets, but in the unquenchable fire of its spirit, the indomitable will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. And as the galaxy looked to the future, to the untold wonders and challenges that lay ahead, it did so with the knowledge that, so long as that fire burned bright, no darkness could ever truly prevail. For in the face of tyranny and oppression, the only choice was to stand firm, to fight for the dreams that united all living things. The dream of freedom, of justice, of a galaxy where all could live in peace and harmony, bound by the unbreakable ties of compassion and understanding. And in the pursuit of that dream, the humans of Earth and all the peoples of the galaxy would find their true destiny, their true calling among the stars. The Empire had fallen, but in its place, a new order had arisen, an order founded on the bedrock of unity and cooperation. And though the road ahead would be long and fraught with peril, the galaxy would walk it together, united by a bond that transcended species and culture, the bond of those who had fought and bled for the right to live free. So ends the tale of the Great Rebellion, of the heroes who dared to stand against the darkness and in so doing, lit the flame of hope that would burn for generations to come. But the story of the galaxy, of the infinite wonders and dangers that lay waiting to be discovered, had only just begun.